Hello guys and welcome back to Custom Gamer. My name is Daz and this is the show where we talk about level design while playing cool maps. Today we're playing another map from Map Jam 2. This is called the Halls of the Blood God by Scampie, and it's one of very few maps in the competition which used a very classical IK blue texture theme. It's got the red lights in here which adds a lot of cool colour variation which I really like. Yeah, a lot of the maps went for IK white style. It was kind of Sock, Scampie, and I suppose you can include Tronin's map in there as well as being IK blue. Another really interesting thing about this map which really stood out to me when I first played it was that it feels very Doom-like. Got a lot of Doom style ambushes, things like walls opening up to reveal enemies which then open more walls to reveal even more enemies. Lots and lots of arenas for you to fight in, and some really cool reuse of parts of the map, especially the central arena is reused a couple of times, which I really like. And it's got a cool twist in the end, which we can check out. So let's go and have a look. Okay, so we start off at the beginning with a little bit of a puzzle, a little bit of weapon control you could say. So you can take out the spawn with the shotgun like this, or you can kind of wait for him to pass over the super shotgun and grab that first, depending on how you want to engage. I kind of like this. I think the spawns are interesting, especially with the map texture theme. There's lots of opportunities to hide them around the level in plain sight because they're the same colour as the walls. It's not really used like that in this map. I think this is the only spawn. It's the Scampie comedy spawn. That is so popular in a lot of maps these days. But the thing I really noticed about this map, aside from the kind of Doom style ambushes and level design, is that the level is very compartmentalized as well. So it's very easy to walk around. There's not a lot of exploration at all. It's generally very linear. And you kind of do each part of the map in sequence. There's not really much getting away from that. It's very rigid in its structure. And then Scampie has introduced complexity in the actual combat encounters rather than in the kind of exploration and movement. You can see you run up here and pick up the rune. It lowers into the floor, and now we start the main combat room, I guess, for the entire map. This room is reused 2 or 3 times at varying points, and you can see where the Doom kind of design tendencies are coming from now. So as you're fighting enemies, different parts of the arena are opening up and revealing more enemies that are jumping out at you. This is something Doom uses a lot, where you'll be fighting a bunch of enemies and suddenly a wall will open next to you and there'll be a whole bunch more enemies in there. And it's this multi-stage arena like this which is really cool, and this is what the map does very well. You've even got some opportunities here to use teleporters to get around the arena fast as well. I really like this. And of course you've got lots of opportunities also for infighting, which I recommend people use, because ammo is interesting in this map in that there's respawning ammo in this main area, just constantly respawning, which is great because the ambushes can last a very long time. There's lots and lots of waves of enemies. It's an interesting balance question, because if you're giving the player just ammo constantly, then you can just keep on throwing enemies at them and turn this arena into kind of an endurance run almost. I'm not sure if the health respawns as well. It might do, but on a very slower timer perhaps. I think that's an interesting, could be an interesting arena, something that's not too difficult but just goes on for a long time. Having like an endurance run where you don't get health but you get plenty of ammo. Perhaps something to try in a map at some point. So after you survive the first iteration of that arena, you have to go and open up the next area. I really like the use of the red blood here, it's really nice. I think the blue and red complement each other very well. Scampie doesn't go over the top with it, like there's not just red light bathing the entire level. It's very nicely set apart. And go back upstairs, and the main arena has changed configuration again. And is now throwing even more enemies at us. I really like how Scampie reuses the raising and lowering platform in the centre to actually... He uses it at the beginning to kind of highlight the rune that the player needs to pick up. and then he uses it for combat purposes later on to place enemies up high to get a decent view of the player. That's really cool. Once we've cleared this new ambush, you'll notice the doors open back up here, and Scampie spawns in enemies at the top here to get the player's attention, to get them to walk up this way. One of the hardest things in level design is actually directing the player where you want them to go, especially in a game like Quake, where generally the player has a couple of options where they want to go. The levels, although linear in the sense that you have to go from one end to the other, they give a lot of choice to the player generally about how you want to get there. And spawning enemies along a route the player's already been on is a great way to direct the player in that direction again. So Scampie uses that to great effect here to draw the player along back up to these raised areas. Now you can see we're reusing this arena again, and every time Scampie reuses this area you're coming at it from a different angle. But even though the same kind of variety of enemies are being spawned in, you kind of use different tactics each time. So you start from the bottom fighting enemies, and now you're up on these raised platforms. As I desperately try and avoid this Vorball. I'm trying to get it to hit the fiend, but it never quite happened. I was trying to be clever. But yeah, there's another time later on when you walk through back this area, and it's completely different again, so keeps it fresh every time, which is important. It can feel very, very lazy when you're just fighting in the same arena over and over again and nothing's different. It just feels like you're replaying the old gameplay again and again, and that's not good. You want to keep things fresh and interesting every time you reuse an area. I think that's why backtracking gets such a bad name in games, because it can feel very, very lazy if it's done wrong. You really want to change things up if the player is re-entering areas they've already been in. Change something around so that it feels fresh and new. Perhaps new enemies. Perhaps there weren't any enemies before and now there are. Or something in the environment has changed which changes the gameplay in the entire area. You know, like perhaps lava has been raised or something like that. So now we get into the the main combat centre of the map, I suppose. Oh, there are more spawns in the map. I've got terrible memory. I've played this map so many times to get a decent demo and I still can't remember it. So Scampie locks you in here again. Again, I was talking about this earlier being very compartmentalised in the level design. Then when we grab the silver key, all hell breaks loose once again. And again, the same kind of ambush technique is used here. You kill a couple of enemies and then parts of the level just keep opening up and revealing more and more enemies. It's very, very cool. The nice thing is that because the walls open with a sound and you hear all the extra enemies start aggroing you, you can hear them coming before they start attacking you, so you can kind of prepare in a way. It works really, really nicely. Then we've got a final wave here of shamblers. It's a really cool idea having them lowering down on platforms. It gives the player time to think and to perhaps kill one of them before they start running rampant all over the level. I really, really like the design of this arena. It's very cool. Now we can escape back to the start of the map as we have the silver key. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice that we passed the silver key door right at the very start. I was searching for some secrets here. There are 6 in the map. I only found 2 on this run. I'm sure I found more of them before, but yeah. I really, really like this demo just from like a gameplay perspective, so I've decided to use this rather than recording one where I found more secrets. I think the highlight of this level is the ambush gameplay rather than any kind of secret or exploration finding. Though I have to say the special secret at the end, it was very, very cool. I'm very glad I found that one in this demo. You'll be seeing it in just a moment. So again here you can see the respawning ammo and a little bit of respawning rotten health. So there's enough here to keep the player alive. Because we're reusing this area so many times, it could be easy to run out of supplies and, you know, just death by attrition, I guess. I come back to the silver key. If you remember, this door here was locked behind us. And there's an exit teleporter behind this shambler here, but if you take the time to look at that blocked door afterwards, you'll find something quite interesting. We can find the secret exit. Of course we're going to go for the bloody secret world teleporter, of course we are. Not even a question at this point. And then we get this. Now this, for anyone that's ever made a Quake map, this probably reminds you of the first map you ever made. It certainly does me. In fact, it's almost a carbon copy. I just made a giant box and filled it with every single power of an enemy in the game and played it about 100 times. But the cool thing about this is that it's not just a box, you get to replay the level from the inside out essentially. You start at the end and work your way back to the beginning. Except you still have all these power-ups, you can just get through it really quickly. Oh, that is so much fun. You can just rampage through everything. And this is a very cool secret. It just reuses the entire map as part of it, which I really like. So there you go, that was Scampie's Jam 2 map, the Halls of the Blood God. Really cool kind of Doom style map. I really enjoyed the arenas in here. If you want to have a look at how to do kind of multi-stage arenas or reusing an arena from different vantage points and having different gameplay each time, definitely a good map to check out, get some ideas from. Also just wholesale copy from because it's done really well. Alright guys, I will try and increase the speed of videos. I realise it's been a bit slow the last month or two, my apologies. I will try and speed it up a bit. We've got so many maps to get through. So you will hopefully see me sooner rather than later. Thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.